I want to share with you guys the preparation I've done before jumping into Blender, the references I've gathered and how they've impacted overall layout or how they've impacted my decision making. So I had this idea about creating an environment that will start in canals. And it's all because I've played Half-Life Alyx and I loved Half-Life Alyx, and I remember this canal, this environment, and I just really enjoyed it. So this image started the whole idea, and of course there were like canals levels in previous Half-Life games too. But as soon as I started thinking about what I want to get inspired, or what kind of like what ideas can I get from this image, I kind of started to think, all right, that because it's I want to do my own environment. Maybe I don't want to create one where there will be huge walls and they're just going straight, because I will want to come up with like a bunch of different angles. And if I would do stuff like this, which is totally cool, I felt like the walls, they will be a huge part of my composition. So maybe instead of like them being straight, how about them being curvy? Like canals, they are built in so many different ways, right? So instead of like having straight blocks, how about I do them a bit curvy, like so, when it connects to another piece, right? Because already I'm thinking how I can use this element to push my composition. And then how about at the end, so like heavy walls, and how about at the end there will be this huge factory, because I've done like a bunch of scans of factories. So I really want to use those scans and mix them with models I'll be showing you how to create. So I found this image on the internet, and I really loved how how industrial it feels. And I love the red the red brick and the broken windows, and also those metal-y parts that really connect well with the architecture. It's like something more than just I don't know, like having a building and a bunch of like metal parts poking out. It's how this piece is connected with this piece to this roof, and then there are those legs standing, and then there are like some cables, right? Or the scaffolding around this building. So I knew I wanted to do this, and also I have like I've scanned like similar buildings around here in Gdańsk. So I'm already kind of thinking, all right, I know I'll maybe want to model this part. I know I might want to create this facade by using textures from textures.com, or maybe like use a scan for a facade, like part of it, and then like texture the rest of it with texture, and then like build some metal parts around it. And for the metal parts on metal structures, I found this. So all of the references there, I think they're like super cool. But to me, this, for example, it felt a bit too gribbly. I mean, I still will go, and I still went for like a similar feeling in some of the areas. So what I'm saying is, what I was interested most were those shapes. And by looking at them, I started already figuring out, all right, what I will be able to model quickly, what I will be able to reuse. So for example, if with this one, all I have to do is create a cylinder, texture it with a texture from textures comp, and I will get into like do's and don'ts and the approach when it comes to texturing in a second. And then I just have to create a walkway, and then maybe like a couple of beams. So then what I'll have to do, I will just do those beams, then I can like array them in here, array them in here, array them in here. I can do this walkway does the same asset, same asset, same asset, same asset. And then there's a bunch of shapes, right? And a pipe. So I started to think after innerly approving of innerly, I don't know if that's a word. Like the part of me totally was like, hey, yeah, this is cool. Let's do this. It will only take like 10 minutes to model. What else can I do? Or how can I change or move around the assets to make it feel like totally something different? So then there was this structure to the right. To be able to do this, all I have to do is just duplicate this part or copy it and add this element, right? And it will feel different. And then what I have to do is maybe I will be able to do those elements, because all I have to do is scale it down on, it's on z-axis, right? So it gets thinner, like so, right? And then what I'll have to do is just grab the walkways that are already done for this building, and then put them on simple deform on 222 twist 360 with hard ops, so it will create those roundy shapes. So I would say a lot of the elements, a lot of variation of the elements can be done like in relatively short time. But also, as I said, like I'm not only looking for inspirations, of course I am, but also I'm like trying to make decisions on hey, how about I will try to find a way to model stuff that won't like take me, I don't know, like a day of work. So there were some references that I felt that were like super cool. And by the way, yeah, I found these, right? And then I can easily do this, or I can easily maybe, I don't know, like do this or do this, right? So there are other elements that I found that I felt like were super cool. I really liked this one. So, but I started to look, all right, how many new elements I will have to create? How many elements can I borrow from the model I will already be like doing or working on, right? So this one, it felt like I would have to start from scratch. But then again, I will have maybe like 4 or 5 those types of assets. So maybe it's worth to do this one and then find like a similar looking assets, or just have the same approach as I had with the tower, just like remodel and move some parts around. So in terms of towers, oh yeah, I've also found this one. So I can easily start with this and take this, because I already had like a bunch of beams. I just have to use simply deform to taper them up, so don't have to model a lot. I already will have a walkway, I already have a bunch of cubes. So then from this to this, I only have to introduce like a bunch of small elements, right? So I'm already like establishing, before jumping into work, how many assets I'll have to create. Now, industrial factory. Now, from the other hand, I really don't want to go into like modeling stuff that I won't be able to repeat. So for example, all of the rest are so damn cool. This is cool too, like the building. So I don't think I'll be able to find a reference because everything is so fucking cool. But what I'm trying to say is some of the elements that I'll be using will be far away from the camera, and because I will spend my time creating them, then I will want to copy them around. And however, what I will try and avoid doing is spending like a couple of hours on one asset that I will just only place once, and it will be far away in the background, and it will be like barely noticeable. So what I'm getting at is, whatever I will spend my time working or doing, I really want to show it in the camera. So after I figured that out, I started thinking about what I would want to show in the images, right? So of course I will want to show So I wanted to show the canals and focus on the canals. So immediately I thought, all right, we'll go with flow horizon line. There will be like our dude somewhere, maybe the horizon line will be higher, and then there will be like a bunch of walls. And then there will be curvy going into the distance, right? And there will be like another one, and my character will be in here. So there will be like a lot of open area. So I will just like create maybe some shape that will close off this area, or in the distance there will be those the factory with those like refinery, metal-y, industrial looking elements, right? But I already kind of knew. Maybe. I mean, I tried to establish as early as possible that my first shot will be only about the canals. I don't want to go in the middle, show the factory, and then like the canals leading to it by dividing the frames into the middle, right? So then I've decided, because by now I've finished some of the shots, and while I'm still working on the others. So for the other shot will be just like this transitional shots between the first one and the first shot, which I will sketch out in a second. So in here we'll have like the character, and it will be this small in the frame, because I really want to for the viewer to focus on the environment more. So the dude will be going there. Then I will want for the dude to still be over there in the second frame, but now that there's a ladder in here, and there will be ladder in here, and we'll get closer to the factory. So in here factory won't be as visible, but in here it will be more visible. And I will want for the character to get out of canals, to be in front of the factory. So oh, and I didn't mention in the previous videos about the compositional rules that I'm always trying to implement, because I've implemented this one so often that I don't know, I forgot to mention it. So the rule of thirds, I will always try to place either like my character or my object in a focal point. So I drew this character in the first because I've done it on purpose, right? The same in here. So our character will be wandering through the environment. Now, what other element can I introduce and repeat a bunch of times to create repetition, to create more depth? So in one of the shots, I thought that maybe I will open this environment. I will cover this environment, make it foggy, so I can add like a bunch of walkways on top, and they will be repeating into the distance, and they will be like compressing, right? Or there could be like those barricades, half-F type barricades, that are like going back into the distance, and they're like getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So then for the first shot, I thought about, all right, let's just show the factory. So I went with like a low horizon line. So I want this factory to fill my frame, and then there's character going to the factory. So either I wanted to show the canals and like a part of the factory, but the canals will be still more important in the shot, and then I've just wanted to show the factory. And usually when I'm working, I will try to come up with at least a couple of shots. So as I was like saying, or maybe like a good example will be if I want to tell a story, for example, the story will be chase. When I'm imagining like the two characters chasing each other, or one character chasing another one, I feel like what I would have done in the past is I would place one character in here, and it's super small in the frame, and then I would place like another character in here, and this one is like running after this one, and then I will still want to create like this amazing environment. So I will try to show everything at once, and it wouldn't work. And it wouldn't work because if there's a character chasing another, it should invoke tension in us, meaning they are like too disconnected, or maybe this character would be even smaller, or they are maybe like not even like big enough in the frame to be able to invoke those kind of emotions. So I would want to show a piece of action, and I want to show some emotions, and then I want to showcase the beautiful environment. Where nowadays I will try to pick and show one thing and then come up with additional shots. And when working like this workflow, there isn't like a lot of overpainting. Even most of the post will be done in Blender due to real life real life compositor, real time compositor. So it's so easy and fast just to move the camera around, right? Frame things differently. And to some extent, like for some of the shots, what I've been doing for my portfolio is I'm not even rendering them out. I'm just like grabbing a screen grab from the viewport, just like so. And everything is fine, no one noticed. And about rendering, when it comes to rendering, we're gonna use settings that will only take like a couple of minutes to render the frame. So when it comes to, for example, like a chase, or I would like do a different shot. I remember I was working on this one where there was like this corridor. Like so, and I think there was a character in here, and there was a character like somewhere in there. So similar story, and he was like running away through the corridor. So again, everything like felt super disconnected. So nowadays, what I would do is I have a character that's this big in the frame, and it's chasing another character that's in front of him, right? So they're like visually connected, and we only get to see like a glimpse of environment, right? But they're kind of slow, or maybe the character is like catching up with it. But in able to show it, I would say the two shapes, they need to be somewhat connected, and they need to feel, and they need to feel the frame, right? And then maybe there could be like a side shot. So, and still they're like super close. So he's running this, they're running this direction, right? They're running this direction. He's like trying to catch him out, to catch him. And now what I can do, I have like all of the real estate that I can show to create, to push, to showcase the environment. And then the last shot, so I have like super huge like close up, right? And then then there's the other one, or maybe this could be the third one, and I'm trying to figure out what I can do in between. So maybe I will do a shot where we get to see the characters that are not as big and not as small. So maybe they're like in a thirds, and there's the character is almost like catching up to this one, and this one is like throwing some garbage out, or like there's a cloth or a tarp, like he's starting to interact with the environment. So really hinting about hey, there's like an environment I want to start like noticing, right? But they're not as big. And now that I'm thinking, this shot will create the most tension. So I would say what I would do is I'll start with the least dangerous feeling shot. Then transition into this one, and then focus the last shot about two characters like interacting with each other. So that's how it actually approach it. But yeah, I'm sidetracking. So about the comps I've done, I need to check my video. So that's how I'm trying to find my framing. I will try to focus again on one thing more than the other. So back to the comps. So I think I will end up with 4 different shots, maybe 5. Sorry about that. I'll have my canals, dried out canals, the ladder shot, the factory. Maybe I will also do like an aerial shot, because I've modeled, or I will model like a bunch of different assets. Then I can just like duplicate them around to push even the feeling of scale. And with the last shot, performance-wise, it might be the most difficult one, but it's not that difficult if and I'm gonna show you everything when you will keep your scene optimized. So the last shot, I feel like it might be just the factory, like somewhere like so, and it will be connected, and then it will be like showing the canals, right? And then there might be expanded to the left, and then I will just like copy the assets. Maybe there will be like some leading line going into the factory, so the chimneys and like a lot of smoke. And then I might end up doing one more or two more that will be focused more on the characters, because I will already have like the environments. Maybe it actually depends if I will be able to scan the characters in time. Like there's this huge mannequin behind me, so I've ordered like a bunch of military gear, and also I will be inviting my friends over to be able to scan them and put them into images, but I'm not sure if I will be able to do it in time. But if I do, then I will like create a couple of shots where there will be like two characters or a couple of characters like interacting. So just to show you as an example, I've done this approach in here where we get to see the character going through the environment to the station, and then there's like this in-between shot, and the character is on first. It's barely noticeable, but I feel like because he's in the first, we can somewhat like see him, right? And then there is another shot, and we get to see the fleshed out story a bit more, and then we get to see the characters even closer. So from character being this small in the frame, now the character is like filling the frame, and there's something happening on the right, and there's like this speck that I faked put on the glass to be able to, for our eye to go to this area. And yeah, they're in first too, but I felt like really pushing it, right? And then the frame switches from perspective of this character to just like of this character pointing at the character, and they're like even bigger in the frame, right? And then I think I've done like additional shot where those characters now are filling the frame, right? So I'm like constantly transitioning from one thing to another, to another, to another. All right, that's it for the this portion of the video. Now I think I'm gonna talk about do's and don'ts, as in it's not a list, but there are some things that I will always try to avoid doing, or there are like some add-ons that I will avoid using, or there are add-ons that I'm finding like extremely helpful.